vote anyway.
Yeah.
We like Lewis. He used to get, before he was all hoity-toity involved in a club, he used to actually contribute to the show.
Yeah, when Joshua did the trainee media manager stuff, I said to him, "Am I all right to take photos and put them on the SLP feed?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I used to listen to that."
Yeah, used to. Bloody turncoat. No, the North Leeds Leopards got a shout out. This is I don't know if they're an established amateur club. They're not one I've heard of, so they must do a lot with kids though in the North Leeds area. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's Bill Kaplan's club, isn't it?
Right. Okay. There you go then. Well, Phil Kaplan's someone who deserves a shout out for his contribution to the community of rugby league, that's for sure. Oral St James, they got a shout out as well. The junior coaches there. I know a guy I know who's on a fan thing with me at Wigan. Has a kid that plays with Oral St James. So yep, good work going on there. PDRL got a few mentions, so all encompassing, I guess, from the Adam Hills at the top all the way down the pyramid. We've seen some announcements, haven't we, recently about who's been kind of getting involved in the coaching setup for the England PDRL team that's going to have their sort of World Cup kind of tournament exhibition played alongside the other World Cups next year. That's been announced, and Sean Briscoe I think is going to be the head coach of the PDRL side, but lots of people from the PDRL game get a lot of notoriety and credit for the work they do, which, you know, PDRL is an absolute emblem for our sport of our inclusivity, so well done everyone there. The Rugby League World Cup Social Impact Team got a shout out. Rob Burrow and Mossy Masoi got plenty of mentions in the people that were voting. And I suppose attached to Rob Burrow, we'll talk about Kevin Sinfield as well, and his team that did the 7 marathons in 7 days and have helped put a bigger spotlight on both MND and rugby league than I've probably ever experienced or been aware of for either for the awful illness and for the wonderful sport. So. And whilst none of us would want Rob Burrow to be in the position that he's in, it is Rob Burrow's fight, his character, the way he's allowed everyone to see his journey through this horrible disease. That's really helped with that. So every credit there. And then Mossy Masoi, we've watched his journey this year, and I can't say anything other than every time I see him, I feel inspired and think anything is possible when I see Mossy Masoi this year.
Yeah, here on that one.
Yeah.
Sean Boat. Sorry, Sarah.
I was just going to say the other thing, like on the Kevin Sinfield thing, is like not only did he do 7 marathons, but he did all 7 of them in ridiculously good times, didn't he?
Yeah.
He did them in times that would get you into marathon top places, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, there will be marathons run around the world each year that he would have placed it in the top 3 of, sort of thing, with the times. And even on the 7th one, he was still under 3 hours 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, he's written a piece in the 40/20 magazine actually for the final month of the year, and he had the opening piece. And what he said was he could have just run 1 marathon, but he didn't think it'd get the right exposure. So he, being the kind of guy that he is, he thought, well, I have to do something that's going to potentially destroy my fitness, but is going to make a big statement. So 7 in 7 days, to me, makes that big statement. But he was like, no, what the big statement has to be is 7 in 7 days under 4 hours.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Fair, he's got form for running out too quick. So at least this time it was for a good cause.
Sean Bowen.
I might have pulled the effort, but I'm still not over
it. Sean Bowen from Grassroots Media is another person that got a shout out. Yeah, Sean's been on a few things this year where you've seen him talk about his experience and stuff. I think kind of like you, Tim, he was someone who fell in love with the game by going to university in Hull. I think.
Yeah.
And
I think so.
got himself involved in the grassroots side of the game there, kind of showcasing the community game, which there hasn't been much opportunity to do this year, obviously, with the rules and stuff in place, but Sean deserves a shout out still. SLP, we got a shout out. I should have deleted that one. I don't really feel like I'm not really looking for the self praise, but thank you to the people who mentioned that we're your community heroes this year. The Steve Prescott Foundation.
Something to laugh at, haven't we? For the
Do you know what? Actually, yeah. To be fair, and I do want to thank everyone as well for this year, because it's been a stupidly ridiculous year, and during lockdown there was times where the only thing I had to look forward to was us guys catching up with a few of the listeners and stuff to talk about players that we like from different positions, and that was kind of that was our social engagement for all of the spring, really.
Yeah.
So it's been a great community support for me, and helping me through. So yeah, fair. So actually, let's extend it out to everyone involved in the show, not just us four for doing the show, and then I feel more comfortable with it as a nomination. The Steve Prescott Foundation, who do lots of great stuff, and people heavily involved with the Steve Prescott Foundation were really involved in a lot of community outreach stuff, particularly in St Helens during the first lockdown. So they did some great work there, as well as all the other work and contribution that the Steve Prescott Foundation do towards the Christie, towards Rugby League Cares and everything like that. Thomas Bell from Stanningley got a few shout outs. So one of those was Carson, who said his work to keep the club going through this year was outstanding. So shout out to Thomas there at Stanningley. Tim G, you got multiple votes, and this isn't one way you should shirk from it, because actively we see what you're doing to get the kids of London with rugby balls in the hands and playing rugby league with those rugby balls.
Yeah, it's particularly tough. Yeah, we took the club on at the beginning of the year thinking it was going to be a nice, gentle thing to do, and occasional weekend and that kind of thing. And then with COVID and unfortunately losing some volunteers as a result and some players, it became a lot harder job than I was expecting. So I've definitely enjoyed having a month or so of it off, but we shall see what the future holds.
Yeah, well, still, everyone like yourself that works on our game outside of the Heartland, I think it's never easy, is it, really, working on the game outside the Heartland? So big shout out to you.
I think it is that awareness point, is that you're not only are you actually teaching the core skill, but you're having to be a bit evangelical and things like that. I mean, I've got to give a shout out to Chris Baxter, who's our head coach and partner in crime, and the work he's done to really infuse those kids has been fantastic. And just little things like he brought along a bag of old kit that he had lying around his house and chucked it at the kids and basically said, help yourself, to try and get them wearing some rugby league gear at training rather than turning up in union or football shirts. So yeah, I mean, it's fantastic stuff.
Great stuff. Nice. That's really nice touch. Wayne Godwin. Probably if we kept people entertained through Wayne Godwin, I think Wayne, there she goes, or whatever he used to shout out, Godwin kicking rugby balls over his house and through his windows and all of that stuff, kept a lot of people engaged and entertained, didn't he, during those spring and summer months? So well
now he's
done.
Selling coffee.
Well, I think he had that as a business anyway. I think he sells some T-shirts as well.
If ever there's a man that doesn't need coffee, it's Wayne Godwin.
Yeah, he is human Red Bull, isn't he? And
it's what I envisaged Joshua's going to grow up to be like.
Does Joshua already try and do all the Wayne Godwin stunts in your back garden with the wheelie bin and the balls?
Thankfully, not very often.
At least if he does it outside in the garden, it's better than him doing it in the front room, I suppose.
Yeah.
One as well that got mentioned, Tony Smith got a shout out for coaching that amateur side from Craven Park, and it wasn't Sarah who nominated this. the person who nominated this, I had to look into this one because I thought that's a bit shitty. But then the whole submission of this person was just parody after parody after parody. The nomination was from someone called Tim Andrews, who was a Hull FC fan who voted. I think it might have been Tim Andrews who voted for Andy last. So, like I say, everything he did was a parody. Yeah, so there you go, Tim Andrews. I would put money on it that Tim Andrews is the same person who's behind the Always in Our Shadow account, but there you go. But everyone that we've mentioned there certainly is deserving of all the votes they got, mentions they got. Like we said, we don't give this award a winner because everyone's a winner, and the hundreds and thousands of other people involved in our game keeping it going this year, keeping the kids involved and interested, keeping matches being played, all of that. Everyone's a legend. Well done. So I think we move back into the... we've got 2 awards to go, haven't we, guys? 2 prestigious awards. So, Sarah, do you want to move into the first of the 2 big awards?
Yes. So this is the SLP Player of the Year award. In previous years, Chris Hill won it in 2014, Adam Cuthbertson in 2015, Danny Houghton in 2016, Luke Gale in 2017, John Bateman in 2018, and Jackson Hastings in 2019. So in terms of host votes, Alan, you were voting for Bevan French. Oh, and Tim, you agreed with Alan for Bevan French.
Yeah.
I'll go first.
Seeing as you said my name first, I'll go first. For me, Mark covered it quite well in terms of it's certainly in the middle of the year. You were never going to be disappointed in the level of his performances. He was always likely to do something outstanding and kind of very noteworthy. And for me, he just struck out as the outstanding individual of the year. So that was why he was my choice.
Yep. Tim, have you got anything to add?
No, I think it was just one of the best players to watch all year, and it was the consistent performance. I think, and I think the fact that he changed his side and changed the game on numerous occasions, I think he deserved it over the whole course of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't vote for him, but but I do think he made Wigan quite an unplayable team, because from fullback you didn't know where to defend against Bevan French. I don't know if anyone would agree.
The try that he scored against Leeds just before half time, when the play had gone out to the right hand side of the pitch and he'd actually kind of made a pass, I think, onto Liam Farrell, who then got an offload away, and then Bevan French threw a really long pass right across the other side of the field. And a lot of players might have thought that was their job done, but Marshall and Bibby manufactured a break, and then French popped up on the end to pick up the kick that Bibby put in, and almost from nowhere, and that was like the kind of stuff that you could see from Bevan French. Like, he was never, because of his speed and because of his, the way he was never out of plays, was he? So I think that's what you're saying there with that, Sarah. That's the moment that was running through my mind when you were talking. Yeah,
I just felt he just. I don't. This now sounds like why didn't I vote for him? But I just felt he really is a fullback that links up anywhere. And he can almost be an extra winger, or he can be popping up in the middle. And because of his speed, once he's made that slight break, nobody's going to catch him.
Even if you go back as far as the first game of the season against Warrington, he scored that try where he threw that ridiculous dummy right under the sticks, and like 3 Warrington forwards just didn't have a clue what was going on. I think Chris Hill was so embarrassed by it that he tried to decapitate Sam Powell, and that was all she wrote on that one. Yeah.
So anyway, Mark, you voted for Lachlan Coote.
Yeah, because for me, undeniably, Bevan French was the most exciting player this year, but I don't think he was the best player in Super League this year. St Helens were scratchy to start the year, and no knock on